Let's chat, brothers. Brothers, monk mode is going to have to become your default setting. Monk mode is going to have to become your default setting. When I say monk mode, y'all know I'm talking about the extreme levels of solitude. You know, where you're pretty much just cutting off anything that isn't associated with your end goal. It's going to have to become your default setting, man. It's going to have to become the place you call home. And the reason I say that is because, normally when we have these conversations, at least some years ago when we started having these monk mode type conversations, it was always about a man, finding himself in the bubble of the world, and he had to retreat to find this solitude. He had to retreat to find his own way, or he had to retreat the normal world to try to create some bubble around himself, right? To learn himself. I'm saying that must be home. We can't even look at that level of solitude as being away from the real world or separating ourselves. Like, that is our real world. That is our real world. Like, no other world exists except that world. So that's what I'm saying. Monk mode, or just that level of solitude, it has to be your default setting. And one of the reasons why it has to be, man, just because, well, I would like to say, of course, well, the world is doing some crazy things, so we have to be in this deep level of focus. But even regardless of what the world is doing, regardless of what period of the 100-year cycle we're in, like a man should always be, like, this should always be a man's home. For some reason, man, we make it seem like it's odd, or a man is being strange to want to live in his own world. But again, this should be our default. But the reason why it's so important now, man, is because, as people, or as us as men, are moving forward toward our goals, trying to get through what the world is doing, because the world is doing some crazy things. You saw the video I posted a few days ago, man, where people were just kind of going in this chaotic state, saying the world is falling apart. You can look on TikTok and YouTube and all over the place and seeing people saying, hey, you know what? The world has just gotten harder, right? So with the world doing whatever it's doing, man, we have to be that much more focused. And when I say solitude, only entertain things that are associated with our end goal. Again, a lot of men have been called strange, or he's different, or whatever, for moving like that. But that has to be the standard for all men. It has to be the standard for all men. And it's not necessarily about us isolating ourselves from women, but because it has very little to do with women. But I'll cover women in a minute. It has everything to do with us as men moving forward. You know what I'm saying? And again, if you want to separate yourself, man, you have to call that your default. Meaning you have to separate yourself from all people, places, and things that aren't associated with the end goal. I don't even like engaging in conversation that's not about moving forward. Even if it's not about moving me forward, about moving the person I'm talking to forward. If it's not about moving forward, brother, it's like I'm good for maybe 3 to 5 seconds of it, and it's like, yeah, I gotta get out of this. You know what I'm saying? And it's only gotten to that point is because I've made my world my default. I've made my world my default. I've made my world my own singular truth. You know what I'm saying? Which means normally, or typically, if I have to come out of this situation, man, and conversate, or have a conversation about something that's irrelevant, or if I have a conversation about something that's fear-based, or have a conversation about something that's a distraction, I would typically entertain that, but just, I would have to be a different version of myself. I'm saying, man, we can't call that abnormal now. We have to call men moving in that energy normal. You know what I'm saying? And the reason is this, and I've said it a million times, a million different ways, but you have to understand, what it's doing is it's tightening up your recipe. It's tightening up what you're using to cook or create your own world. You know what I'm saying? Because even a double-minded man can create something. It's going to be in a state of chaos because it's going to be between two realms. But when you focus on only things that are moving you forward towards your end goal, it tightens up your recipe. It tightens up the ingredients you are using to create your world. Again, like I'm always saying, a lot of people wake up and respond to what the world is doing. A lot of people wake up and say, okay, well, this is what the news is saying. This is what the television is telling me I should wear. This is what the sitcom is telling me how I should conduct myself in a relationship, how I should conduct myself at work. Like a lot of people are responding to the world, not knowing that the world is responding to us. When you wake up and yawn, the world is like, I'm all ears. I'm observing your energy. I'm observing your thoughts. I'm observing your actions. I'm observing what you're entertaining. So if you're entertaining nothing but what vibrates with your end goal, you can't get anything besides that. You can't get anything besides that. Like if nothing else is known on this planet, that's the hack of all hacks. That's the information that says, you know what? It doesn't matter what color this person's skin is, what size of the tracks they grew up in, what school they did or didn't go to, what degree they do or don't have. It's like if the world is responding to who they are, then man, that's going to supersede everything, man. So really, what I'm talking about living in this monk mode, in this level of solitude, I'm just talking about man tightening up on your ingredients, tightening up on the energy you're telling God, tightening up on your prayer, tightening up on the energy you're using to create, bro. Because again, man, life, and I won't say life is hard, but life is challenging. It's like when the world is doing all these crazy things and certain people are making certain rules, if you govern yourself to that and you respond to that world, then those are the problems you're going to have. But again, when I'm talking about solitude, all I'm talking about is making a bubble. I've been saying it for 100,000 years. All I'm saying is put a bubble around yourself. Yeah, all this chaos is happening. Yeah, you can see it, but energetically you're not responding to it. And if you're not responding to it, you don't want to have any conversations about it. Picture yourself having a glass dome around yourself, man, where everything on the outside is irrelevant to you. Because you've used your God-given powers to create this world around yourself. But somebody wants to beat on the glass and say, hey, this is what's going on outside. Or they're raising your window and saying, hey, you know what? There's chaos out here. Respond to this chaos. And you're closing that window. You're saying, no, brother, like you can come in and vibrate with me, but I have no interest of what's going on inside of that world. You know, on the outside world, because once I do, now it becomes a part of my creation. It becomes a part of my creation. And I'm not telling y'all nothing y'all don't know. But again, we've always seen this as, okay, I'm in the real world, I'm functioning, but let me retreat for 3 or 4 months. Let me retreat for 2 weeks. Let me retreat for a year or two and find myself, find this solitude, and then let me come back to the real world. I'm saying screw the real world. I'm saying be dead to the real world. That's the problem. We have to call this world home. This is where we reside. This is where we reside, man. And I'm not saying nothing that's not new. Like it has to be our default setting, because somewhere along the lines of history, man, us as men were taught different. Us as men were taught that, and again, I don't want to make this about separating yourself from women, because I'm talking about separating yourself from everything. But at some point in time, us as men were taught that us finding love and happiness through a woman should be the default. I can remember 3rd, 4th, 5th grade having girlfriends, because somewhere, whether it was television, Nickelodeon, somewhere somebody taught me that was the default. Having a happy and loving relationship was the default, right? But like I said in the book, A Singular Truth, I said if a man conducts the second marriage of man, which is when he joins with a woman, before really mastering the first marriage of man, which is mastering the marriage of his higher and lower self, his life will be destruction till he dies. You can't conduct the second marriage of man until the first is complete. And a lot of people, men and women, are both jumping into the second marriage and just completely ignoring finding self, finding that solitude. And to be honest, this is my point of view. This is my opinion. I don't think a person I don't think a person is even suitable for a relationship until they've mastered that. And when I say master that, I'm not talking about mastering creation, but mastering peace within oneself. Like I believe it's not until a man says, you know what, I'm so comfortable in this monk mode. I'm so comfortable in this state of abstinence. I'm so comfortable in this place of being single that I can do this for the remainder of my days. I think until a person gets to that state, they're not even ready for the next level. They're not even ready for the next level. Because you gotta understand 80% plus of relationships that are taking place are only people that are filling voids. Only people that are filling voids. Whether it's a void of, oh, I need some sexual intimacy. It's a void of, I just got to have somebody in this space. It's some kind of void that most relationships are filling. You know what I'm saying? And again, that's why divorce rates are so high. That's why you get on social media, man, and see what relationships are doing. Women just saying, hey, my man was like the sister on the internet the other day that's going viral. The sister that, I'm not sure where she's from, but I know she said she moved to Tennessee and either got a job or something at Vanderbilt. She was like, hey, my husband was perfect. He no flaws. I got beautiful kids from him, beautiful loving relationship, and I abandoned them. I just jumped ship and left one day and left them behind. Like, that's the highest level of toxicity, man. You know what I'm saying? Like, you gotta understand when people are finding good relationships, it's never going, I'm gonna tell you this, it's never going to be enough if that void hasn't been filled within. This state of solitude I'm talking about, is a relationship is never going to be enough. Like, you'll never be enough as a man if you find a woman that isn't good with being by herself. When you meet these women and they're like, yeah, I got 30 side dudes, I just got out of a relationship and I've just been chain hopping for the last 15,000 years, it won't work. It will not work. And I can say the same thing for a sister. If a sister finds one of us and all we've been doing is having rotations for the last 20 years and never just say, let me sit still and find self, that relationship is not going to be whole. Because even you as a brother, you've been seeking something. I'm gonna tell you, man, the highest form of being, man, is when a man can find himself and needs nothing else. Like needs no companionship, needs no level of intimacy. He just everything is fulfilled within himself. And I'm saying we've always been aware of retreating to this place. But what I'm saying is we got to start calling this place home. It has to be our default setting. You know what I'm saying? Now, getting to the women, right? Getting to the women. I'm going to say this. I've had a number of good relationships. Beautiful, solid women, right? Enjoyed that time, man. But I can say this honestly. A relationship has always slowed me down. I'm going to pause for a second, man. I need you to understand what I'm saying. I'm sitting here telling you I've had beautiful relationships, loving relationships with some magnificent women. But relationships have always slowed me down. And I'm talking about slowed me down as far as me getting to my destination. Like saying, okay, you know what, this time next year, or this time in 6 months, or this time in 5 years, this is where I want to be. Let me get on this journey. Boom, I found a baddie. Yeah, let's come on and let's couple up as I'm on this journey. What I'm saying is, when I was in this state of solitude, traveling toward that path, what looked like would take me 5 years, in a matter of time, I said, you know what, instead of 5 years, I can do this in 1.5. Like, I can see it. I can see it coming toward me because I'm in this state of no other energy except this. Oh, I got a baddie now? And again, I'm not saying this baddie was a bad person. I'm saying, if I'm saying it slowed me down, what I'm saying, this is what I'm saying. I want to be clear. What I'm saying is the vibration that I had to be in to get to this goal, meaning to entertain this woman, I couldn't be 100% of this vibration 24 hours a day. I couldn't be 100% of this vibration 24 hours a day. In other words, when I came out of the, when I entertained her, I had to be slightly a different person, which means I was no longer living in a singular truth. There might not have been a large degree of difference, but it wasn't singular. It wasn't singular. I'm gonna tell you what I think about all day, man. The stuff that I talk about on my YouTube videos, whether it's how to move forward, whether it's how to manifest life, whether it's how to become closer to God, the stuff I talk about on my YouTube channel, that's the same thing I think about 24 hours a day. And if it isn't in alignment of us as moving men forward, I don't even want to have the conversation, bro. I don't even want to talk about it. I just don't. I just don't. Does that make me somewhat of an asshole at some point in time? It may. I don't know. But that's my right. So what I'm saying is when I say a relationship has always held me back, and this is not a when you hear me talk about monk mode, because a lot of times when you hear this monk mode type solitude type video, it's kind of sprinkled with a little bit of, yeah, man, women are this and women are that. I'm not saying that, because I'm saying there are some beautiful 1% women out there. I've encountered them, right? But what I'm saying is this. This is ultimately what I'm saying. This is ultimately what I'm saying. If you're trying to pierce through this thick smog of lack and doubt and fear that's in the world right now, because it's heavy. It's heavy. If you're trying to pierce through that, you have to find your singular truth. Get the book. You have to find your singular truth, adopt that energy, make that your prayer, your bubble, and never go back outside. And never go back outside of that bubble. Yeah, you're going to see some thick baddies, man, all out there, bro. But you got to understand, if you're going to entertain them, you're borderline, you're low-key sacrificing the mission. I mean, if you do it, at least just know what it is and call it what it is. At least just call it what it is. You know what I'm saying? So this is what I'm saying, man. And I said this many moons ago on a video when I was talking about entertaining women. Like when I said don't entertain a woman that isn't aligned with the mission, this is what I'm talking about. Like, don't entertain any woman that when you, like, say for example, you're plugged into your job, like, or plugged into your craft, whatever your purpose is, whatever you're plugged into, whatever work you're putting in to get to your purpose, like whatever that state is, I don't care what it is. If it's your circle of friends that different from that state, they gotta go. They gotta go. If it's the church you're attending, if it's the place you work, if it's the whatever it is, if it isn't aligned with that, it has to go. Which includes the woman, the person closest to you, the person you're laying with intimately, creating a world. If anybody, that person has to be in the exact alignment with you. Exact alignment with you, man. So getting back to what I was saying. If you're in your craft and you're tied to your purpose all day, I don't care if you're putting in 8 hours a day, 2 hours a day, 12 hours a day. When you come out of that purpose, you don't have to unplug. You don't have to come out of the office and unplug from that and get into a different state. For example, if you go into a job that you don't hate, that you don't like, you're on whatever, you're doing whatever the job is, assembly line, whatever, and you hate it. You're unplugging from that job. Because you're like, this is not my highest level of being. Like, I'm coming here to keep the lights on, of course. doing what I got to do, but this is not my highest level of being. So when I clock out, I'm unplugging. You know what I'm saying? Then I go home with Bay Man, and then I can kind of be whatever I want to be. When I go with the boys, I can be what I want to be. No, I'm talking God talk now. When you're plugged into your purpose, stuff that you can do until you pretty much fall asleep and wake back up and you want to keep on doing it. When you're plugged into that thing, there is no unplugging. If you have to unplug from that to associate yourself with anything else, that thing has to go. Which means, coming back to myself, the stuff that you hear me talking about on YouTube, but hey man, this is how we move forward, man. This is what God is. This is the power we have, yada, yada, yada. If I got to unplug from that level of conversation to entertain a woman, she ain't the right one, bro. Because I'm never unplugging. I'm never not having this. I'm never not having this type conversation. I'm not saying that a woman has to be completely engulfed in my mindset and all that stuff, but if she's gonna be my helpmate, she has to see the world through the same lens that I see it. Because I'm never going to unplug from this to entertain anything else. And I don't care where we are. I don't care if we're taking a trip to Dubai. I don't care if we're in the park barbecuing s'mores. Like this is who I am. Like I'm never not going to be this version of me. You know what I'm saying? I'm not going to go somewhere and dress funny and talk different and entertain people that don't. I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it because I don't have to do it. You know what I'm saying? And I put myself in a situation where I don't have to do it because I didn't do it. You know what I'm saying? The more faithful I've been to the mission, and I'm not saying I've always been on point, because there's been times where I dropped the ball and set myself back a year or two, and set myself back to a situation that was unfavorable, and had to re-get it out the mud. But when I look back, man, the times in life where I just focused on the end goal, put a bubble around myself, and called Solitude my home, brother, it was all straight shot. It was all straight shot, man. So all I'm saying is this, brothers. What we used to refer to as a man having to retreat to, you know, we used to call the highest level of solitude a man going his own way, or monk mode, or other terms associated with it, right? As if a man was retreating from the norm to go off to this distant land in hopes that man would come back. What I'm saying is, once you leave what we call this reality, leave and never come back. Never come back to it. Meaning never accept this as your reality again. Once you put that bubble around yourself, that's it. That's your world. Those are the laws you're governed by. That's the frequency you live on. You know what I'm saying? Because what the world is doing now, man, you can play a patty cake if you want to. You can come outside and go back in if you want to. Not so. Not so. So again, anything, people, places, and things, if they don't vibrate with your end goal, brother, they have to be gotten rid of.